doing the most hardest topic in the whole learners thing. So basically, you have three topics. You have your road signs, then you have rules of the road, then you have road markings. Controls is not really a big thing. Controls are very easy. Most people pass them without it ever being in a car. So basically, most people fail because of rules of the road. You find you missed it 1 mark or 2 marks, but mostly they fail because of rules of the road. So it's a very important topic, and you should really focus on this one a bit more than the other ones, because that's where most people fail. So on the app, on that K53 app, after we did the class, you just get on the K53 app and then you practice rules of the road for this week. And
Mm.
then next week, it will be a different topic also. So I will teach you guys the theoretical part of it. Then you guys will also practice on the app. You practice the questions. And then on a third week, I'll mix controls with road signs. Then after we'll treat a couple of questions that are gonna help you guys know how to answer the questions when you're doing your lesson. Okay, so the first thing that you should know about rules of the road, there are a set of regulations that are set by the traffics or the department to govern on how people should be able to function on the road while they're driving. So the first general rules are all vehicles must have a clear, visible, valid license disc, which is valid for 12 months. The disc should be located on the left side of the vehicle, on the windscreen. On the left side of the vehicle, if it's put on the right, it's a violation. It should be on the left. And it's valid for 12 months, even though you're still driving the same car. After 12 months, your car is no longer valid to be on the road. You need to renew your disc. So as you're driving on the road, you need to first be aware that your car has a license plate which matches with the disc and which matches with the one at the back. If any of these things are missing, depending on the type of a car that you're driving, is a violation. Some cars, some vehicles, like a bike, not a car, a vehicle, like a bike, they're permitted to have only one license plate. But either way, there needs to be a license plate. Some cars, like Ferraris, they're permitted to have one license plate. So depending on whichever car that you're driving, the rules might apply differently to your car, but at the end of the day, you need to have a disc and a number plate. Okay, so first rule, when you're driving on the road, you should always think of it in a safe way. So you should always keep a safe following distance. What's a safe following distance? Mostly, some people will say it's a 2 second to 3 second rule. Some people say it's a 4 second. But basically, the most simplest thing to easily understand is that when you're following another car, if you can see the base of the back tires, like where the tires are in contact with the tire rod, that's a safe following distance. So you're basically a car's distance away from the car in front of you. So meaning if we were to measure, a normal sized car should be able to fit in between you and the car that's in front of you. So as you're driving, because you're talking about the distance that you need to keep, so the distance changes depending on the condition of the road that you're driving in. If the visibility is limited, like you don't see properly in front of you, you need to keep a longer following distance. So you need to increase your following distance so that if something happens, it gives you enough time to react. If it's raining, on wet conditions, if it's raining, the road is wet, meaning your stopping distance, it's a bit more. So meaning if you step on the brakes, you're not going to stop immediately. You're going to stop after some distance. So you need to increase your following distance if it's raining. So when you're also moving too quick, like you're driving very fast, you need to make sure that your following distance is a bit more to the car that's in front of you, because your stopping distance is not going to be as quick and as close as you would when you're driving slower. Okay? And then your mirrors. When you're driving, you need to make sure that all your mirrors are properly adjusted, that you can see all sides of the car. So meaning you can be able to see your left side, your right side and including the back of the car. Because if any of them are not properly adjusted, they limit your visibility of everything that's happening around you. And when you say everything that's happening around you, we don't include the blind spots. There's some parts where the mirrors cannot see. That's your blind spot. So basically, if you look at your mirror and you see directly behind the car, further away from the line of the mirror, that's your blind spot. Where the mirror doesn't see, that's your blind spot. So when they say check your blind spot, you need to literally lean over your shoulder to see your blind spot. So if you see it on your mirror, it's not your blind spot. So when you lean over, that's your blind spot. So mostly when you use your blind spot when you're about to turn, when you're about to change lanes, when you're about to overtake, when you're about to go into an entrance, you need to check your blind spot. So blind spots are very important because accidents happen because there is a car or a person or an object that you wouldn't clearly see on the mirror, but you will see it if you look at your blind spot. So here they're saying that you check your blind spot when changing direction, and by your blind spot, you need to turn your head to the appropriate side to check in the areas that are not visible in the mirrors. That's referring to your blind spot. So for those of you guys that are still going to continue to doing your license, the moment when you're doing your test and then you check your mirrors, but you don't check your blind spot, it's an immediate fail because that's where the danger comes from mostly from your blind spot. So you need to always check your blind spot and your mirrors as you're driving. So depending on the area also, there is speed limits. Even though it's not written, but it's natural, it should be a natural thing for you to know that when I'm in this area, here's my speed limit. When I'm in that area, here's my speed limit. So in urban areas, depending on which part of the urban area you are in, one, if you're inside the urban area, like you're driving in town, your maximum speed is 60. If you are inside a town, your maximum speed is 60. If you are outside an urban area, the maximum speed is 100. You're exiting the area. The maximum speed is 100. Let's say you're inside Kimberley. You're driving in town. Your maximum speed is 60. As you're exiting Kimberley, going direction of Bartley, going direction of Joburg, your speed limit will change, which will range between 60 and 100, depending on how busy that area is. For some towns, because the area will still be busy, they'll say 80. Then as you continue, they'll say 100. The moment we get to the open road, it will increase to 120. So roads outside urban areas is 100, like I mentioned. And then for goods vehicles with a cross mass exceeding 9 tons, that's 9,000 kgs, 9 tons. Outside urban areas, the speed limit are either 80 or 100, depending on the type of vehicle. Because, for example, if you're driving a Port 14 truck, your limit, depending on what you're carrying, your limit can be 100 or 80. But if you're driving a abnormal, your limit is 60, 80, 40, depending on what category was labeled in. On the freeway, the speed limit is between 100 and 120, depending on the area. Then if you're a taxi, outside an urban area, the speed limit is 100. There's no taxis that have a speed limit of 120. So most of them, the speed limit is 100. Okay, as we continue. So on the road, we have different types of roads. Hold on, I'm just gonna mute you guys just to help because there's a bit of a noise. Okay. So as you are driving on the roads, there's different types of roads that you're going to meet. So some roads they give you certain authorization, some they don't give you that authorization. Some they limit on how you drive. So you have different types of divided roads. So when you meet a road that's like this, that has a wide solid line in the middle of the road, at the center of the road, it's a wide solid line. Basically, this line tells you that you are not allowed to overtake. That's number one. You cannot cross to the other side of that line. You need to stay on the lane that you are in. An example of that is this one. So you see there's traffic moving this side, there's traffic moving this side. Then you have also a road that has two solid lines. Also the same thing, you're not allowed to overtake when you're on this road. You are not allowed to cross to the other side when you're on this road. The difference is this. If you're on this road, if, for example, you're driving on this road and then your farm is somewhere here, you can indicate and go off the road and come this side. But on this one, because it's double solid lines, you cannot cross the road to the other side or to the other side. You need to stay on your lane until the road allows you to cross to the other side. Okay, as we read on divided roads, they're saying when a painted marking or a physical barrier divides the road, always stay on the left side of the road. You are only allowed to cross this division if there is an opening or space allocated for this action. It is a rule violation to drive across a solid divided marking. Remember, it's a solid divided marking. You may only drive across a broken divided marking to overtake another vehicle or make a U-turn. So we continue. The road where you are allowed to overtake, where you are allowed to cross to the other side, is this road. The line in the middle is broken. So the difference is this one, the line is completely solid from the beginning until where it ends. And then this one is broken in the middle. So using a broken line is basically telling you that you are allowed to overtake on this area. You are allowed to drive from this side and turn to the other side. You are allowed to do a U-turn on this road. So the moment when you see a broken line, you know that most rules you are allowed to break. But the moment when you're on this line, you are not allowed to overtake. You're not allowed to cross to the other side unless, obviously, your farm is here. You don't have a choice. But if it's on this road where there's two solid lines, even if your farm is here, you need to go until you find a road just like this. Then you turn, you come back. Then you can be able to enter into your farm because the lines don't allow you. Okay, overtaking. Do not overtake if overtaking is prohibited by a road sign or marking. Do not overtake a vehicle that has stopped at a pedestrian crossing. So basically what they mean here is this. If you meet this kind of a road, you're prohibited from overtaking. And if a road marking, I'll show you guys when you come to road markings, if a road marking limits you from overtaking, you should not overtake. And also there's pedestrian crossings, so you find that there's a person, a picture of a person that's drawn there to show you that this is where people cross, or the road has a zebra cross. There's these lines that are black and white that look like a zebra kind of of line. It's a pedestrian crossing. You're not allowed to overtake a person that's standing at a pedestrian crossing. The reason for this is pedestrians might be crossing, and the moment when you overtake, you end up becoming a danger to the people that are crossing the road. So you're not allowed to overtake when a vehicle is standing at a pedestrian crossing. Number two, when overtaking a vehicle on the same direction on a narrow road, pass right and keep a safe following distance. Drive on the right hand side of the road in the face of oncoming traffic. So basically, if a car is driving in one direction, you can overtake it on the right side. You are not allowed to overtake on the left side unless that vehicle is turning right. So if the vehicle is turning right, you can pass on the left. If your vehicle is driving same direction as you, you're allowed to overtake on the right side, as long as you are not posing a danger to the oncoming traffic. Posing a danger meaning the car that's on the oncoming traffic is not too close. That's when you are not allowed to overtake because the car is too close. But the moment when the car is not too close and it gives you space to overtake and still come back to your lane, then you're allowed to overtake. But before you do that, you need to indicate your intention by indicating, checking your blind spot, check your mirrors, then you can be able to enter. And then when you also return back into your lane, you need to check your mirror, you check your blind spot, you indicate your intention, then you enter the road. Next, they're saying do not drive on the shoulder or verge of a road when overtaking. Remember what I said? On the verge, it's on the left edge of the road. That's the verge of the road. So you're not allowed to overtake on that side. You're only allowed to overtake on the right side. The only time when you can overtake on the left side, it's when the vehicle that is in front of you is turning right. Meaning he's indicating that I'm turning right, then he gives you space on the left side, he moves closer to the center line. Then you're allowed to overtake on the left side. Okay? And they are saying do not overtake on a blind rise, a curve, or any other area where view of the road ahead is limited. So as you're driving and you don't see what's in front of you, meaning you're going over an incline, all you see is just the road going up. You don't see what's in front of you. Visibility is limited. You're not allowed to overtake. If you're driving and the road is foggy, you cannot see what's in front of you. You're not allowed to overtake. If you are driving and there's smoke or there's anything, it can be rain, smoke, fog, but if it limits your visibility in front of you, you're not allowed to overtake because you don't see what's coming in front of you. Here we continue. Overtaking on the left. That's the topic. If it is safe to do so, you may overtake on the left side of the road when the vehicle ahead of you is turning right or has indicated to turn right. The road is a one way. Okay, to describe it, the first one, remember what I said? You're only allowed to overtake on the left side if the vehicle in front of you is turning right. And the vehicle has indicated that it's turning right. Also, you are allowed to overtake on the left if it's a one-way road. So meaning there's no oncoming traffic. And there's two lanes going one direction. Then you are allowed to overtake on the left because there's two lanes that allow you to do that and there's no oncoming traffic. You're also allowed to overtake on the left if the road is wide enough for two or more lanes for traffic moving in the same direction. Or, okay, this is very important. This is very, very, very important. They will try and trick you guys with this one. So basically, what's happening is that there's road markings, there's road signs. All these things are very important to follow. But the moment when there is a traffic cop placed on that road, whatever rule, whatever road sign, whatever road marking does not apply if the traffic officer instructs you to make a certain move. So meaning if he tells you cross a stop sign, he is the boss of the road. He's the king. You need to only follow what he says. Whatever rule does there doesn't apply anymore. The only thing that applies is the traffic cop. The only time where the rules of the road are valid is when the traffic cop is not giving me instruction. He's standing there. But the moment when the guy decides to give instructions, whatever rule that's on the road does not apply anymore. If he tells you to stop on a solid line, you're gonna stop at a solid line because he's the boss of the road. Okay, we continue. Saying do not cross the yellow line, the yellow left edge line, in order to overtake on the left. On some roads don't have it, some roads have it. On the left outer edge of the road, there's a yellow line. That yellow line, you're not allowed to cross it when you're overtaking. Very important. You're not allowed to cross it when you are overtaking. Okay, we're continuing. Passing oncoming vehicles. When passing oncoming vehicles, you may not pass right onto oncoming traffic. If a vehicle is coming, you cannot pass that vehicle on the right side. You need to always keep your left side of the road. Okay? Another important rule, when you're being overtaken, you're not allowed to increase your speed. You need to safely allow the other vehicle to overtake you or to pass. So you accelerating is actually against the rules of the road. The moment when a person indicates the intention and they start overtaking, you need to allow the person to overtake you. You increasing the speed of your vehicle is a violation. Okay, we'll continue. When you're being overtaken on a freeway, if the driver behind you indicates his desire to overtake by flashing the headlights, signal to move over if it is safe to do so. Do not hog the right lane, even if you're traveling at a designated speed. So basically what's happening is this. On a freeway, there's different types of lanes. If a freeway has 2 lanes, the right lane is called a fast lane. Then you have your normal lane. If it has 3 lanes, you have your fast lane, your normal lane, and your slow lane. So if you are on the fast lane and then a car is behind you and they show you that they want to overtake you and they flash their lights, you should check your blind spot, check your mirrors, and indicate your way out of the fast lane to the normal lane to allow the vehicle to overtake you. So you should not force to stay on that lane. Whereas you know that even though you're driving the right speed limit, you're driving 120 and you're on your fast lane and someone comes at the back, they're driving 110. They're saying, I want to overtake you so I can increase my speed. You need to allow the person to pass you by checking your mirrors, indicate your intention, go off the lane and allow the person to overtake you. But this is not allowed where there's only 2 lanes. Where there's a lane that's going the other opposite direction and there's a lane that's going the other direction. This is only allowed on a freeway. If it's a normal road, no, you don't have to move out of the way because it will be a danger for you to move out of the way. But if it's a highway, you need to move out of the way. Okay, rules on road shoulders. You may not drive on the shoulder of the road to the left of the yellow edge line or white edge line. You're not allowed to drive on the shoulder of the road. So, meaning if there's a yellow line, you see this line over here, these are 2 lanes, there's a yellow line here. You're not allowed to drive on this side of this yellow line. You can drive closer to the line, but you're not allowed to drive on the other side of the line. Even if the line is white, like this one, this side, you're not allowed to drive on the other side of that line. But there's exceptions in that. So meaning, you're not allowed, if you're driving normally, you're not allowed to drive on this yellow line or on the white line. The only time when you can drive over these lines or on the other side of this line, it is when it is a single lane roadway, and you want to move to the side to allow someone to overtake you, to pass. Sometimes you're gonna find that trucks are moving at a slower pace and they see that they're creating more traffic behind them. So they'll move over to the side and allow other traffic to pass and they safely go back in. Okay? And another one is it is in between. That this is allowed if it is in between sunset and sunrise. You guys are gonna find this type of wording in your learners test where they keep saying between sunset and sunrise. Between sunset and sunrise is during the day. Just mean daylight. If it's during the day, this is permissible. If it's at night, you're not allowed to drive on the edge of the road. Three, it won't endanger any road. By property, they're referring to road signs, the vehicle itself, your tires. That's what they're referring to by property. Okay? They're saying that you're also permitted to drive on the yellow line if you can clearly see any person or vehicle for at least 150 meters ahead of you. So the only times when you are permitted to drive on the edge of the yellow line, it is when it is a single roadway and you want to move to the side to allow other traffic to pass. But this should happen only during the day, which is between sunset and sunrise. Only during the day, meaning between 6 and 6. If it's after 6, it's no longer described as between sunset and sunrise. If it is not going to endanger other road users or property, if you can clearly see any person, vehicle in front of you, 450 meters ahead. Okay, continuing. Dedicated public transport lanes. So your dedicated public transport lanes, it's your bus lane, your taxi lane. So in our country, only certain towns have lanes that are specifically for buses. Or there's lanes or demarcations that are specifically for taxis. So basically, these rules are telling you how to act or how to behave when you're in those lanes. Number one, do not drive in a lane dedicated to your public transport or rapid transport vehicles. Public transport, rapid transport vehicles. Rapid transport is your ambulances and your firefighting and yeah. So basically, there's lanes that are specifically for those people so that they can easily get uh, access to the road when they need it in an emergency. So they're saying do not drive in a lane dedicated for public transport or rapid transportation vehicles from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, except public holidays, unless you're driving a permitted class of vehicle. Unless you're driving a permitted class of vehicle. So meaning if you're driving a taxi, you're allowed. Bus, you're allowed. Ambulance, definitely. Your firefighting car, you're allowed to be on that lane. Okay, traffic lanes. They're saying that on traffic lanes, you may not enter or cross a road or traffic lane if your vehicle is likely to cause a dangerous situation or obstruction traffic flow. Obstruct traffic flow. If you know that your vehicle has issues, don't enter lanes like that. Don't enter traffic lanes because you know that you're gonna cause problems on that lane and it's gonna cause a vehicle pile up or it's gonna cause vehicles to slow down. And they're saying do not cross into a different lane unless you can do so without obstructing or endangering other vehicles. So if you are driving on the road and you want to enter a lane, you need to first make sure that it's safe for you to enter that lane. You need to also make sure that you are not in danger for other drivers when you enter that lane. So safety when entering any lane is very important. Okay, we're coming to traffic cycles. Traffic cycles. We have different types of traffic cycles. Mostly, you're gonna find that some it's a 3 lane, like this exit are 3. Some the exits are 4. So depending on whichever traffic cycles you're entering, the rule is the same. You enter from left to right. So meaning if you're on this lane and you wanna enter here, you're going to enter from here, then you're going to drive this way, then you're gonna exit here. You cannot enter like this. You cannot enter here and then go this way and then enter here. That's not allowed. You need to enter from left to right. You need to enter clockwise. So the first one, they're saying that at a roundabout, you must yield right of way to all traffic approaching from the right, unless there's a road sign or traffic officer instructing you otherwise. So meaning when you get to a traffic lane, the first thing that you do is you need to check if there's any vehicle that's inside the traffic lane that needs to pass in front of you. If there is, you need to give that vehicle a right of way, meaning you need to yield for that traffic. That's the first thing. You need to yield for that traffic, for that car. Okay? So fine. Hold on. I'm just doing that. Okay. The next rule, they're saying that at a mini cycle, give way to any vehicle that will cross or has crossed any yield line before you. So if you arrive here, and then there's another vehicle that's here, another vehicle that's here. But when you arrive, this vehicle was already there. You need to stop and allow this vehicle to move first and pass you. Once it has continued and it's exiting, then you may enter if it's safe to do so. Okay, we're continuing. And in rules of the road, there is basically certain things that are permitted and certain things that are not permitted. So if you're driving your vehicle, you're not permitted to have your hand outside of the car or any part of your body outside of the car. So if you're driving your vehicle and your hand is sticking outside of the car, it could only be for one reason and one reason only. One, you're giving hand signals. Two, you are trying to communicate that your car is giving you a problem. If none of these two things are there, you're not allowed to have your hand or a part of your body outside of the car. Even if it's hot and it's burning you inside of the car, you're not allowed to take your hand outside of the car. Okay, we're continuing. Driving signals. You must always indicate your intention to change direction, reduce speed, or stop. You should always indicate your intention. 2, indicate clearly to be seen by other road users using indicators, stop lights, or hand signal. Remember, if your indicator doesn't work, you are allowed to use your hand. If your stop light, meaning your brake light, don't work, you are allowed to use your hands to show other traffic users that I'm about to stop. See me, here's what I'm about to do. You're allowed to do that if your car indicators or stop lights don't work. Okay, hand signals. There's certain prescribed hand signals that can be used. We don't just use any sign that we want. We need to use certain signs. Stop, it means you need to lift your hand up with your hand fully open. That's for stopping. Slow down, it's waving your hand up and down. That's slowing down. Overtaking, it's almost like half a hug you are basically waving your hand from back to front, but in a U form. Right hand, you're pointing your hand out, but with a bend. That's a right hand. Left hand, it's you're pointing the same way as your right hand, but the thing is you are making your hand face down to show that you are turning left. But you need to make a circular motion with your hand that's facing down. Left hand, that's your left hand. If you're using a bike, but if you're using a car, obviously you don't have access to the other side. You need to stick your hand out, make it face down, and do like a U, not what is it? A circular hand movement. Okay. So far, are you guys clear? Do you guys understand so far?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't have any questions so far. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Okay, let's continue.
No questions.
Okay. Let's continue. So basically, when you're driving on the road, even if it's a road marking, there is a rule attached to it. Even if it's a sign, it's a road sign, there's a rule attached to it. So basically, on rules of the road, you are learning certain things that you'll find also in road markings, certain things that you're also gonna find in road signs. So road markings are these. It's those white lines that are drawn on the tar road itself. Those are your road markings. And then depending on the color of the road marking, it will basically tell you if a road marking is mandatory or if the road marking it's there but you're allowed to go against it if you made a mistake. For example, if you are on this lane, on a lane and then it has this type of a road marking, basically you should be on this lane if you are turning left. But if you are on this lane and you see that, ooh, I'm on the wrong side, you can still correct it by waiting for the traffic on the other side of the lane to pass, and you indicate your intention, and you can be able to change to the right lane. Because this is white, you're allowed to do that. But the moment when the color changes and it becomes yellow, you are not allowed to do that. You guys agree with me? You guys agree with me on what I said?
Yes, yes.
You guys didn't read your material. Okay, you shouldn't agree with me. The white line is mandatory. The yellow line is not mandatory. So meaning if you are on a white line, you are forced to obey. I thought you guys were gonna read this top part here, but you guys are not reading. Okay, the white line, you are forced to obey. The yellow line, you are forced to obey. But on certain conditions, can you go against a certain color? Okay, so they're saying obey yellow line mandatory direction arrows markings. Move in accordance with a white marking, indicating mandatory direction arrows. Okay, let's continue. Turning left. Before you turn left, indicate in a good time and keep as close as possible to the left side of the road. After turning, adjust your speed to match safety into the flow of the traffic. So meaning you overtake quickly or you overtake slowly, you need to adjust your speed so that you don't end up disrupting traffic. Turning right. Before you turn right, indicate in good time and keep as close as possible to the right side of the road. Before turning, yield the right of way to any traffic approaching ahead. Before starting turning into a two-way road, cross the center line so that you turn into the left side of the road. As you turn, pass left of any traffic island or traffic officer controlling the intersection. So meaning if you are turning left, for example, turning left, you need to pass right of any traffic island or traffic officer controlling the traffic. Okay, we continue. Parking. If you are found illegally parked, a fine will be issued to you. So meaning you decided to park in a place that you know that this is not a parking, you're gonna be issued with a fine. If you are found parked on the sidewalk, you will be given a fine. You're not allowed to park on the sidewalk. You're not allowed to park on the edge of the road or the verge of the road. Emergency rescue and construction vehicles or traffic officers are not subject to these rules. So meaning if you are an emergency vehicle, you're a rescue vehicle, you're a construction vehicle, you can park on the verge of the road. You can park on the sidewalk because it could be that you are attending to an emergency. If you're an emergency vehicle, you are attending to a construction of the road. You're repairing something on the road if you're a construction vehicle. So these rules don't apply to you. But if you're a normal car and a normal driver, you're not allowed to park on the edge of the road. You're not allowed to park on the sidewalk. You're not allowed to park on the edge of the road or in a place where parking is not allowed. Okay? You may park on the right side of a one-way road, provided the outer edge of the right side wheels are not more than 450 millimeters into the roadway. So basically, to make this simple, if you are half a meter away from the verge of the road, where the road ends, you're half a meter away from it, you are safe. You are allowed to park there. But if you are less than half a meter, you're gonna be given a ticket. You're too close to the road. Okay. So now there's certain rules that apply to parking. So they're saying no stopping in, on, or closer 9 meters from a pedestrian crossing. 9 meters. If there's a pedestrian crossing, you're not allowed to park near it. You can only stop 9 meters after that pedestrian crossing. You are not allowed to stop or be closer from a tunnel, meaning 6 meters, within 6 meters from a tunnel. You need to only stop after 6 meters after a tunnel. You are not allowed to stop 6 meters to a subway. So meaning if there's a subway, you can only stop after 6 meters. On a bridge, you're not allowed to stop within 6 meters. You need to stop after 6 meters. On a constricted road, you're not allowed to stop within 6 meters. You are only allowed to stop after 6 meters. The difference is this. On a pedestrian crossing, the distance is longer. They're saying that you're not allowed to stop 9 meters. Within 9 meters of the pedestrian crossing, you can only stop after 9 meters. And then on a tunnel, a subway, a bridge, a constricted road is 6 meters. This is very important. It's in every learner's question paper. You have different types of learner's question papers. Basically, what happens in a learner's exam is that there's 1,500 questions. So they randomly pick 60 questions. And in those 60 questions, there's your road signs, there's your road rules, there's your road markings, there's your controls. In those picked questions. So every time when you go right, they randomly pick 60 questions that will ask you relating to that. But in those 60 questions, these two are always there. They'll always ask you one of them. Indirectly or directly, they'll always ask you one of them. Okay, we continue. They're saying no parking closer than 5 meters from an intersection. So you cannot park 5 meters within 5 meters of an intersection. You can only stop 5 meters away from an intersection. You cannot park there, you need to park 5 meters away. 2, the next one they're saying, you cannot stop within 1.5 meters from a fire hydrant. Fire hydrant is those things that are put on the side of the road that allows a firefighter to come and plug in their hose when they're turning off a fire. In the nearest place, so they're saying that you're not allowed to stop within 1 meter from the road edge outside of an urban area unless in a demarcated parking. Demarcated parking. That's a very funny word. Okay, so you're not allowed to stop 1 meter from that. So meaning within 1 meter, you cannot stop there. You need to stop 1 meter or more. Okay, we continue. Other no parking areas. You are not allowed to park in any no stopping area. You are not allowed to stop in any no stopping area. If there is an S with a cross on it, that's a no stopping area. You cannot stop on that area. You are not allowed to stop on parkings that are exclusively for particular class of vehicles. For example, you see that this area is for ambulances. It's an ambulance parking, you're not allowed to stop there. If this area is specifically characterized for ambulances, you're not allowed to stop there. Okay, it continues to say you're not allowed to park on a pavement or a sidewalk. This one I repeated a couple of times. You're not allowed to park within the outer edge of the curbside of the road. Meaning your wheels, when you're stepping on the curbside, meaning the edge of the road, your wheels should be 450 millimeters away from the road. To make it simpler, it should be half a meter. Half a meter is 500 millimeters. But basically, you know that 450 millimeters plus, you're safe. 450 millimeters less, you are illegally parked. You're not allowed to park in an urban road that is less than 5.5 meters wide unless it is a one-way road. If the road looks narrow, you're not allowed to stop on that road. You're not allowed to park on that road because you will be reducing the size of the road, making it more difficult for other road users. You're not allowed to park on a traffic island or a pedestrian or lane. Okay? And then again, remember what I mentioned when I said that if an area is categorized for a specific vehicle to park there, you're not allowed to park there. Here's the examples. If you see this type of a road marking, basically it's a line like this one, and then it has an A. This A. It means this area is for an ambulance. B, you find this one where it's a bus marking like this, meaning that area is specifically picked or categorized for buses only. L is a loading zone. That's where you find it close to shops where they load stuff or offload stuff. This one, T is for taxis. F is for firefighting vehicles. R is for rickshaws. In Northern Cape, we don't have rickshaws, but in Cape Town, people have rickshaws. Those what is it? Trailer look-alike kind of a car that is pulled by a person. And then at the back, there's a seat. A person sits there. That's a rickshaw. And then diplomatic vehicles, that's your foreign vehicles or government-specific vehicles. And then your minibus, that's your taxis. SOS, that's your ambulances and emergency vehicles. Basically, cars that are meant for emergencies. The defense vehicles, that's the army. The police, that's the police. Okay, we're continuing. You may not stop on the road unless instructed to do so by a traffic officer or a road sign, or to avoid stopping on a road. Okay, let me read that again. I think I missed something here. You may not stop on the road unless instructed to do so by a traffic officer or avoid an accident. To avoid an accident. Okay, we'll continue. Other no stopping places next to or opposite an excavation if this obstructs traffic flow. In a tunnel or a subway or a bridge. On the right side of the road facing oncoming traffic. Next to or opposite another vehicle where the road is 9 meters wide. Within a railway reserve at a level crossing. Well, railway reserve at a level crossing, it just means where the road meets a railway. So you're not allowed to stop where they cross, because you'll be a danger to the train, you'll be a danger to cars that want to pass also. Also, they're saying where you would cause an obstruction or a danger to traffic. You're not allowed to stop on a painted island. You're not allowed to stop on a freeway. Okay? We continue. Compulsory stops where you are forced to stop, where it's compulsory for you to stop. If directed to do so by any traffic officer, road sign, traffic light, or a farm animal. So remember what I said, if a traffic cop is on the road and he's giving instructions, the traffic cop is the boss of the road. Whatever that the traffic cop says, you do without a question. But two, for pedestrians, you are forced to stop if pedestrians on or they are entering a pedestrian crossing. You are forced to stop, because if you don't stop, you're going to prison. Third one, if you are involved in an accident, you are forced to stop. You don't have a choice. Even if your car can drive, you are forced to stop because a statement will need to be taken. You need to also check if there was no danger to other road users. A pedestrian crossing. Where pedestrians are crossing, when pedestrians are crossing the road, they have a right of way. If you are coming with your car and you find that the pedestrian is in the middle of the pedestrian crossing, they have a right of way. You need to stop and allow them to pass. Where a pedestrian crossing is situated next to a traffic light and they must cross according to the signal or traffic light. So meaning if you're approaching a traffic light and you see the pedestrian light, it's flashing green for them, but it's red for you. You need to stop to allow them to cross until the light changes and gives you right of way. Drivers must yield right of way by slowing down or stopping on a pedestrian crossing, or when a pedestrian is entering pedestrian crossing on your side. We continue. Do not overtake a vehicle that has stopped at a pedestrian crossing. This one was repeated more than once. Number 4, pedestrians do not have the right to enter a pedestrian crossing suddenly, so that an approaching vehicle has to stop suddenly and unsafely. So even though pedestrians have a right of way, they cannot just jump in the road while you are passing. If you find them crossing, it's understandable. You need to slow down or you need to stop to give them a right of way. But if they also find you on the road, they're not allowed to just jump in onto the road. Okay, and then number 5, pedestrians should cross the road at a crossing only, or at a distance more than 50 meters from the crossing. That is clear. So basically, pedestrian crossings have this type of a sign. The top one is a yield sign. At the bottom, it's a pedestrian. So when you see a combination of this, is basically telling you that you need to yield for pedestrians when you're entering the area. So meaning when you see this sign, already adjust your speed to be alert of pedestrians that might be crossing the road. So that if they're crossing, you need to give them a right. So another type of a pedestrian crossing is this one. Your vehicle will stop here, and the vehicle on the opposite direction will stop here. Then this would be a pedestrian crossing. Another different type also would be this one. So basically on this type of a pedestrian crossing, if you guys can see, there's a difference here. This one is telling you need to stop because there is a solid line in front of you. And there's a solid line. It's telling you need to stop here. Check if there's pedestrians. If there isn't, you can cross. But if there's pedestrians, you need to stop, allow them to pass. But on this one, they're telling you can yield for pedestrians when you're coming here because the line is broken. So meaning if you're coming here and you find that there's a pedestrian that's crossing, you should slow down or stop to allow them to pass. But on this one, when you're approaching this, you need to stop here and search if there's pedestrians. If there's nothing, you can cross. But this one is different. A pedestrian is coming here, you yield or you slow down for them to pass. But if there's no pedestrians, you can drive right across because you're not forced to stop here. You yield. The difference is for this one, you need to yield for pedestrians. If there's no pedestrians, you cross. For this one, you need to and look if there's pedestrians. If there isn't, you cross. And if there is pedestrians, you need to stop on this road. Okay? Now we're coming to towing rules. Towing rules. The distance between the two vehicles may not exceed 3.5 meters. The distance between the two vehicles may not exceed 3.5 meters. If it is more than 1.8 meters, there must be a clearly visible red flag tied to it. That is clear. Number 2, a licensed driver must control the towed vehicle unless a controlled towing device tows the vehicle. Controlled towing device, you attach it to the front wheels and then it almost works like a trailer. It also controls the direction of the wheels. So when you're turning left, it will do the same thing as the trailer. It control the direction of the front wheels of the car that you're towing. Number 3, the towed vehicle must have efficient brakes unless towed by a drawbar or a tow bar. So meaning if you're towing a vehicle where the brakes are not working properly, you need to use a tow bar. A drawbar. So if you are towing a vehicle where the brakes are not working properly and you're using a rope, you'll be doing something illegal. And it's a danger because if the car cannot stop, it's going to hit the car that's towing it. Number 4, when towing, the maximum speed is 30 kilometers per hour, unless you are towing by means of a solid bar. So if you are using a solid bar to tow, you can go your 60 speed. It doesn't mean you should go to 100, but you can go your 60 speed. But if you're using a rope, you can only tow going 30 kilometers per hour or less. That's your maximum speed. Number 5, you may not carry passengers in a towed vehicle. Number 6, towing on a freeway without a solid bar is unlawful. If the freeway has a minimum speed of 30 kilometers per hour. So basically, if you're towing a vehicle on a freeway without a solid bar, it's unlawful. You're not allowed to do that. Okay. So do you guys have any questions so far?
No.
No questions. Okay, no problem. So far that's gonna be the end of our class, and then I'm gonna update you guys on the next class. Then we're gonna continue with rules of the road. Then for now, for homework, you guys should use the app to practice your rules of the road. And then I'm going to post this video also. Then I'll give you guys access to the video so that you guys still can be able to refer if you need to refer. So for now, you guys should practice rules of the road on the app, and then try to practice for 1 hour a day if you can. So basically for 1 hour, you dedicate that 1 hour to rules of the road. If you do that, passing becomes very easy. Most of the guys that have passed their first time, they dedicated that. And basically all you have to do is do this for 3 weeks. Per day, dedicate one subject for 1 hour. Either rules of the road, and then on the last week, that's when now you can start doing your mock tests. You can start doing your mock exams. Then this will simplify passing for you. So I'll see you guys on the next class. So
Goodbye.
I'm gonna end the class. Good night, guys.